Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Jeanne Schumacher. I am founder of the Plant-Based Academy. Let me introduce Sia. Sia and I met last year at the National Health Association convention conference. And if you don't know about the National Health Association, please connect and join. It's $35 a year for the membership, and it's just absolutely an amazing, amazing place. Conference sold out long time ago, and I put a link in there. They have a virtual conference for the National Health Association. It's the best conference ever. Plus, they give all these bonus hours. All these people have donated all this extra time that only you have access to as, being a virtual attendee. So anyway, Sia, introduce yourself. Tell these people about you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sia, and I'm the founder of 6D Living. And I am completely so humbled and honored to be here with Dr. Jeanne Schumacher. She is one of my heroes in this world and has taught me a great deal. And I'm just thrilled. And we've got a little platform, and Toby and Marianne, you guys are with us at 6D, and thanks for coming here today. And Jean, just congratulations. You have worked so hard on that community, that virtual community center that you were talking about. It's absolutely stunning. Really well done. And it's going to help us so much, all of us, to find information, keep learning, keep building, keep growing strong, and keep getting better. So thank you, Dr. Jean Schumacher.
Well, that's my objective. I just want to educate and help people. So, but tell us a little bit about 6D and what you do there, because this is pretty amazing too, what you got going. So well done to you, girlfriend.
Thank you. Thanks, man. It's we're a small little community, comparatively. It's but we're close, We are a community of loving, supporting people, and we connect in a variety of ways through book clubs and programs and courses. Last night we had a free meditation event with a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka on Zoom. Afterwards, I just felt so calm and so at peace. And I went to bed with his mantras in my head. And so we do a variety of things. We explore a variety of different topics and books in our book club, not just about food, but about all six dimensions of our lives. So we have books about artificial intelligence, connecting with yourself. We have a course on the four agreements that we do. We've got books about food, of course, and nutrition, and but more, that's not the main part. That's one of the six dimensions. So we are a holistic group, a holistic community, and we're looking for ways to balance our lives and find that we can do something for all six dimensions so that we can attain balance. And that's basically us. We got a little blog. We've got like little monthly challenges that are free, or like €10, something like that. And just keep it on track with a daily form. Marianne, you're in that one this month, and it's really magical, isn't it? I mean, it's helped me a lot as well. Denise is doing great. We have a really solid team right now, and they're all working at some amazing projects and bringing amazing ideas. And I basically am just behind the scenes trying to keep up with them. And that's about it. And it's wonderful. So I just keep on going on. And it's nice. We're small, and I like that. And we're really personally connected. And I really cherish that because I'm far away. I'm in Greece. I'm all by myself. Well, I have my husband, but I mean, I don't have community. I
Right.
don't have that ability. It's not here. So it's really a treasure to me, the people that have come to 6D and are contributing constantly to our growth and our support and sharing ideas. It's just wonderful. It's a happy place.
It is. And when you can connect like this, like, and Marianne's husband, hi, Marianne's husband.
Yeah. Come on.
He's doing a little photo bomb over there. Like it. But when you can connect like this, and
He
I think
always does.
this is the power of the internet. And this is one of the good things about the internet is that we can do things
Totally.
like this and can connect all around the world at the same time. It's just magical. So
Yeah.
today we are talking about the tips and tricks to living this plant-based lifestyle, because I've been since 2009, on this journey, and I've learned a lot. So a lot of things along the way. So let me start off with what I call one of my top things that is, back in the day before we were plant-based, it was Meatloaf Monday, it was Taco Tuesday. We had a set list of 10 recipes that we cycled through that, like, I can eat this all the time. I love this recipe. This is delicious. I make it. It's a family recipe, you know, things like that. So I think for me, one of the things that I looked for in my journey was to come up with my like top 10 lists of my favorite foods, of favorite recipes. The number one on my list is the Mexican lasagna. And I think I just posted that. I have a Facebook group, Plant-Based Cape Cod. I just posted that there. And also on my YouTube page. The Mexican lasagna is a crazy easy recipe. It's a recipe of convenience because you're using a lot of things that are processed. You're using some salsa, things like that from Trader Joe's, whatever. But basically, I think we're on week, I don't know, 549 with my husband. And so like I'll say like to him, what do you want me to make you for lunch this week? Oh, Mexican lasagna. I'm like, I can make other things. No, it's next question. I like that. I mean, he will eat this all the time. And I don't think I've taken this dish any place that people don't go, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's a crazy easy dish. So what I do is I open up a jar of salsa, pour half of it into a dish. Then I take corn tortillas that I line the bottom of it. So that's my first layer. And then I'll take 2 cans of beans, whatever beans you like. It doesn't matter. I put them into the food processor with the other half of the jar of salsa. And I drain the beans, so they're in the can. I just drain them, rinse them off, whatever. Put them in there with the salsa. Let that go around till they are nice and creamy and light and fluffy and deliciousness. Put that layer down and then put another layer of corn tortillas. Then Trader Joe's has this amazing, it's corn salsa. So, obviously, see, you don't have Trader Joe's over in Greece, but what you can do is take corn and just mix some salsa in with it. And you got the same thing, okay? So that's the next layer. And then another layer of tortillas. And then I put a layer of salsa on top. Cover that, bake it. And there's so much that you can do in terms of variety. Trader Joe's has this that's called cowboy caviar. That's another thing you can replace with the tomato-less corn salsa. So, and again, it doesn't have to be processed. You can make your own salsa. That's crazy easy to do. But this is a recipe of convenience, and I can literally put this together in less than 10 minutes. And it goes in the oven, 350, a medium oven, for about half an hour, 45 minutes, just so that it bakes all together and it gets nice, flavors all meld together. It's delicious. So that's one of my top, that makes my top 10 recipe. But it's and just as important to know what you like as what you don't like. So like in the Plant-Based Academy, I printed this out for my daughter. My daughter has the only copy, period. And I printed out all of my recipes. It took a 5-inch binder. Okay.
Whoa.
So that's like more than like 12 centimeters for you over there on the other side of the pond. So that, I mean, it's huge. That's like 5 inches. Okay. Like that's how many recipes. So I tell people, go through and try some. And there's going to be recipes that you're going to go, my God, the dog didn't even like that. You're going to find those recipes. And that's just as important to know as opposed to the recipes you do. So I say, put a big X in that recipe and go, never make this again, and that's as important to know because you're learning and developing your taste buds. And, one of the things that I did along the way was Dr. McDougall had this, weight loss book, and half of it was recipes. And I, started, and I had connected with Dr. McDougall for quite a while. I was very much of a fan of his and still am. But his recipes, I started to go through them and I'm like, I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to like that. And I made a vow to myself that I wanted to create cooking videos. And so if you go on my website, simplyplantbased.net, you'll find cooking videos that I made that Dr. McDougall still has on his website that connect to my YouTube channel. And they're like, so I made the recipes and they're like you can find it in like 2 minutes or see the recipe in 2 minutes or less how to make this. And then I put the recipe actually in the YouTube channel in the description so you can copy and paste that. But I started trying recipes in his book that I didn't think I would like. And all of a sudden I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. So it's developing things that you think that you might not like, that all of a sudden your taste buds, they're going to change. They're going to change. Because I've had people say to me, I can't live without XYZ, whatever it is. So we've come a long way, baby, in terms of our recipes, in terms of how we're living this way, and it's a lot easier than it was when I started this, in 2009. I mean, it's come so far in terms of what we have available to us, all the different plant-based milks that we have now that are crazy delicious and crazy good. So the Mexican lasagna was one. One of my other ones was I was getting ready to go shopping and I need to clean out the refrigerator before I filled it with more food. So I had I had zucchinis and I had onions and I had chickpeas, cooked a big batch of it. And I'm like, okay, I got to get rid of this stuff. What am I going to do? So I call it Simply Chickpea Delight. I started, cooking the onions with some garlic, and then I added zucchini, and then a can of stewed tomatoes. And then Muir Glen has the stewed tomatoes that are salt-free, which is important for me because I can't have salt, for anything. So I added that to that, and then some like Italian seasonings. It was the best dish ever, ever. And these recipes come out of like, I don't know, sheer desperation. Like I needed to get rid of this. You put that over rice or a grain, and my God, you've got some good eating there. And it's delicious and simple, easy to make. Another recipe that came out of sheer desperation, like I was, I'm a creature of laziness. So, I had this urge, I need a cookie, I need a cookie, I need a cookie. And there's no cookies in my house. Like my house is like my wellness center, and so like, if I was going to go get a cookie, I would have to get in my car and drive to the grocery store, which is like 5 miles away. And if I go in that grocery store, all bets are off. I mean, like, in my mindset, the way I am, because I'll be the first to go, hi, I'm Jeanne Schumacher, I'm a food addict. And I'm very serious about that. And if I go in there, all bets are off. I said, okay, I can't get in the car and go. So what do I got here? Because and that is one of the freedoms of cleaning out your house and making your house your wellness center, is to have foods that you can have. So I'm open to anything in my house. So I said, okay, I need something. So I made these banana oat balls. So I took a banana, mashed it up, and I added some pumpkin pie spice, whatever. And then I added some oats to it, enough so that you could make it into a ball. And I put those into the air fryer. That was my first round. They came out delicious. And I made them about the size of a golf ball. And that met my need for a cookie. And it filled me up and it was great. And then I started getting creative. And I had made a chocolate peanut butter pie that's not a normal thing in my house, but I was doing it for a potluck. And so I had some extra little chocolate chips. So I added those to the batter. And oh my God, did that take it to Jedi level? Whoa. Okay. That's a good one. But I started to notice that they were a little bit dry, without the chocolate chips or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I pulled out this big tub of blueberry or blackberries that I had, those big fat blackberries. And I wrapped the dough around the blackberry and put that in there. And when I bit into that, the blackberry exploded. Exploded. And it was so delicious. I'm like, okay, now you're talking. So those are recipes, that are easy, that came out of like desperation. Like I need to make something easy for my husband, batch cooking, or I needed a cookie. I needed a cookie at this point. I had to have a cookie. So, things like that. Sia, talk to us. What's one of your tips?
Well, you don't have access to all that good stuff that you just went through. So when I came to this lifestyle 10 years after you did in 2018, 2019, around that time, I just had Whole Foods. So I've spent the last few years just creating things from Whole Foods. Because I don't have a Trader Joe's, I don't have a Whole Foods that you guys have. We have organic shops and things, and they have like vegan foods, but those are high in coconut oils and saturated fat and salt. So I never really went in on that. And I just thought, well, if they can make something, so can I. And I didn't know in the beginning that there was actually a community online or a place or multiple places with recipes and all of that. So I just started making stuff up and I've kind of continued down that road, to be honest. And so I tend to, over time, I came to really resonate with Dr. Bolshevitz's idea of plant points and getting 35 different plants a week. And it resonated with me so much that I'm now getting about 30 plants a day, different plants. And so because it's all whole foods, yeah, it's really fun. And it's allowed me to get really creative in my kitchen. So, like I'll make a salad dressing that's got 15 ingredients in it. And I can sneak in foods for like sauces for batch cooking that I'll add after it's done cooking so I don't kill the antioxidants or the probiotics that are in the spices and the fermented foods that are in there. And I'll add that to the batch cooking later. They all have a lot of ingredients, mostly trying to get in stuff that I don't necessarily like to eat, like sea vegetables. And they, they taste like a dumpster to me. And, like fish in a dumpster. So I'm not found, yeah, okay. So you feel me. So I'm not going to sit down and eat a sheet of nori. It's not going to happen. So I need to get my sea vegetables, my wakame, my arame, my dulse. I soak my beans in kombu. We don't have salt-free canned beans, so I have all raw beans and soak them. I have all raw grains, whole grains, and soak them. So I'm kind of back in 2009, let's say, at that level, where I have to like make do and get creative with the plants. Since I started down that path, I've never really felt the need to stray from that into easier kind of things that I can just, open up. I might buy some things in Tetra packs, things like that when I can find them. But that's about it. And so other than that, it's just whole foods. But I'm ensuring that all of my bases have like seaweed and dehydrated mushrooms and hemp seed and avocado and all the omega-3s and the flax and the lignans and all of that. So I'm getting all of those combinations. So my sauces will have like 10, 15 ingredients in it. And I'll make a sauce that has mustard in it so I can cook cruciferous and then reactivate the sulforaphane precursor in the cruciferous with the mustard and the sauce. And that sauce has 10 ingredients in it. So I'm eating the cruciferous and then adding 10 plants on top of it. So bam, there's 11 plants. Add a sweet potato to the plate, there's 12 plants. It's once you start getting really, really creative with those things, it isn't difficult to get the number of plants. That said, there's nothing that takes 2 minutes in my kitchen. So, if it's like a go-to convenient, like I need something quick, there's not a whole lot of quickness in my house. So we constantly have to replace the produce. I dehydrate like a madman. I like to dehydrate everything from beetroot to celery to arugula to microgreens, strawberries, all of that. And then I grind them up into powders. So they're really concentrated. And I can add like a teaspoon of that to a dish. Bam, I got my beets. Teaspoon of celery. Bam, I got my celery and my sodium. Great. Now we're rocking. So I've dehydrated arugula, add a tablespoon of that. Bam, I got my cruciferous. And I dehydrate it at 50 degrees Celsius. I think that's about 112 Fahrenheit, so that it stays raw, so that all of my grinds are alive. And like the top shelf of your fridge, the one with the door where you used to put cheese and crap like that? Yeah. Can I say that? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I
I
can't think
heard
of
you.
anything.
I heard you.
All right, well, where I put stuff like that, I don't put stuff like that in my little top drawer with the door. I put all my dehydrates and I put all my grinds and my grinded flax and chia, black sesame, all of that stuff is all in there. So I can just grab it like a salad bar. And then the second shelf has all of my fresh greens and microgreens that I grow. And that's like all my salad prep. And then the bottom shelf is all these batch cooked meals with batch cooked grains. And so I cook like I'll soak and cook 4 to 5 grains each week and then cook them up. And then I get like 10 to 12 containers, like a serving and a half, really, of grains. And my husband will take one to work every day with a meal and some salad. And he grabs, he just goes to the salad bar in the fridge and just makes everything up. And I do the same thing, but we always have fresh produce on the kitchen table, washed, clean, ready to grab and eat. So, if I'm craving a cookie, I just have to like grin and bear it because I don't have a cookie. But what I do have is chocolate cake. And I always have that around. I'm always making chocolate cake. Make 3 pans at a time, freeze them. I had to buy extra freezers, of course. So now I've got cake in the freezer. And the cake is made with buckwheat groats, black beans, red lentils, avocado, date. It's all whole plant. And so it's just yum, yum, yummy. And lots of berries. Like you said, you wrapped it around a blackberry. So I put blackberries and raspberries in there. So you're getting a lot of plant points and you're eating a cake. And it does wonders for your gastrointestinal system because it's high in fiber, it's high in nutrients, it's high in insoluble and soluble fiber. So you got both kinds moving through your gastrointestinal tract, which is really beneficial for nice, healthy bowel movements, which is, really an indicator of our health.
Yep. Pooping queens. Pooping queens. I
We
am.
are,
I'm a pooping queen.
yeah. Exactly. So it's like, I don't have like go-to products or anything, but I always have make sure that when I'm making something, I make enough that I can freeze some, that I can keep some, and that I can give some. So those are my three requirements. I need to make a batch big enough that I can freeze enough for my husband and I to have food for each of our meals every day. And I can keep some in the refrigerator that is ready to eat when I want to go to it and heat it up. And then I always want to have a few extras so that I can give to somebody. And I really focus on that so I can just share what I'm creating. They're not whole food plant-based, the people I give it to, but they enjoy the food that I make.
It's
So for
food,
me, it's love, and I'm just sharing the love. So because I cook with love,
right?
just like the movie Chocolat, if you cry into the food, everybody who eats it will cry. If you are happy when you're cooking, everybody who eats it will be happy. So it's a creative, joyful experience to be in my kitchen for me. For me. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you kind of
Thanks.
touched on my next point was to batch cook. And that is, I
Hmm.
think, one of the tips because people, are like, you're in the kitchen all the time, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm not, actually. So what I do is batch cook, but usually one day a week. And I call it shop, chop, prep. So
Yeah.
Fridays, I usually go shopping and I get all my stuff and get it into the refrigerator. Then Saturday, I'm washing the produce, let it sit out, especially like, the bell peppers, things like that, washing that, and then putting that out to dry because moisture is your enemy. So you never want to store anything with moisture in it because then it'll cause things to go bad, especially grains, like right away. So,
Hmm.
all those things, I get them ready for what I'm going to be doing. And then Sunday, I cook. I'm in the kitchen like for a couple of hours at a time. And so I'll have printed out 3 or 4 recipes. And what I do is mine are printed on paper, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I put them into page protectors and I tape them up on my cabinet. So if you go into my kitchen right now, literally my cabinets are covered with recipes. So but they're right in front of me, as I'm cooking. And so they're not on, like I just got Neil's book, the Power Food Diet, and half of it is recipes. So I've got paper clips, those big, huge clips on the side, keeping the book open. And then the book, where am I going to stay? How do I stand the book up? Where does that go? That's the one downside I don't like about having cookbooks per se. But, and I'm always writing in the notes, and then food is everywhere. I'm not this dainty cook. Stuff is flying in the kitchen. I mean, just everywhere. And so I prepare 3 or 4 dishes once. You cook once, eat many times. Okay, that's the
Right.
philosophy. And so I will have some in there that's ready for 3 or 4 days, like you said. And I use those glass dishes. God bless those Pyrex glass dishes. And I love that. So I start my day with my smoothie, and here it is right here, my smoothie. I'm still sucking on it right now. And I'm drinking that. That's my breakfast. And then my husband makes big salads. And when people say, people like, you eat salads? Like your idea of a salad and mine are two different things. I'll just say that right now, to these people, because they think a salad is like, you get some iceberg lettuce, you put a cherry tomato, a slice of cucumber, and if you're lucky, you get the black olive, if you're lucky. Okay. So my daughter and I would fight over that black olive.
Ooh, black olives.
So those are the things right there. Is my salads are like 27 layers, like you said, adding so many ingredients. So my husband goes down and he's the king of the salads, and he'll make 3 salads for each of us. He lays them out and they're enormous. I mean, like literally it takes me like more than a half an hour to eat these things, and there's like 15 layers of stuff in there. And then I add grains like you do. I have grains in my kitchen at all times. I have potatoes, I have some kind of bean, I have some kind of grain at all times. So I can pull things out and whip together a meal in less than 10 minutes, using any one of those ingredients, and opening up a few cans and adding some things to it, or what I call the freezer dump. That's always fun to do, is clean out the freezer soup. And so everything goes into the pot, and you add some tomatoes and tomato paste, and boom, add some white beans, and you've got an amazing vegetable soup. So that's what I do when I need to clean out the freezer and I need to get, okay, it's been 6 months. I need to get some of these things out of here because they've got freezer burn. Let's make soup. So batch cooking is one of the huge things. And so I have my smoothie in the morning. I use what's called Mini Hot Logic, and it's a warming tray. And this is my kind of technology. You plug it in, it's on. You unplug it, it's off. That's my kind of technology. I like that. Okay. So this is just a gentle warming tray. And we can also take that, like we're getting ready to drive to the NHA conference, and on a trip, there's no place I can eat. We're going from Cape Cod to Cleveland in one shot. Okay. This is 1 day drive. Okay. And so there is no place, especially going through Pennsylvania. Are you kidding me? The land of sausage and baked, fried foods. Please. There's nothing for me on the way. So when we get in the car in the morning, we'll plug in the Mini Hot Logic in the car. There's a converter, and you plug it into the cigarette lighter, and then you plug the Mini Hot Logic into that. And so as I'm driving along, my food is heating up. So it's perfect. So when we stop to have lunch or have food, okay, it's awesome. It's awesome that you can stop and have a hot meal. I like a hot meal. Okay. So, batch cooking and preparing those things ahead of time, like you said, I've got stuff that's in the refrigerator that I've made, and then stuff that's in the freezer. So right now I'm still eating stuff that I made like weeks ago, that I'm pulling out. So I put that in the Mini Hot Logic in the morning, and when I'm ready to eat, I've got food ready and heated gently and nice. It's piping hot by the time I get to it. So it's delicious. Your turn.
That,
Back to you.
that sounds great. Mini Hot Logic. You guys have such great toys over there. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I batch cook as well. Yeah, just you just make like 10, 15 servings and you just put it in the fridge. And these are big servings. My husband and I, we eat a lot of food at each sitting. And then we just like take greens, like 4 or 5 cups of greens, and chop them up so they're kind of smaller. And then we'll take that hot food and put them on top. So we're integrating the greens into even our batch cookings and things like that. And then some grains and as well, topped with seeds, of course, and good stuff in omega-3s. I've never used a recipe ever, except for like old Greek foods that I use my grandma's, cookbook, my yeah. Other than that, I've just made it up as I go along, and I make it up every week. Like you said, I batch cook like once a week. Saturday we do the grocery shopping and all the cleaning, and Sunday it's like, 3, 4 hours in the kitchen and I get everything done. Then the next week I'm not batch cooking, I'm making cake. So the next week I'm batch cooking cake, and the next week I'm batch cooking sauces. So I've got sauces that are frozen and in the refrigerator. So every week I'm in the kitchen, but I'm not necessarily making the entree part of the meal. I could be making the beans, I could be making the grains, I could be preparing those things, I could be making sweets, but every Sunday I'm cooking for a few hours just to make sure that I'm getting all of the plants that I want to get into my body on a regular basis. So that's how I do batch cooking. I kind of make it up every single time. So like people are in my seminars and stuff. Yeah, it's really fun. They're getting like what I made that day. There's no guarantee I'm going to make it again, but I hope they will and like it. And then I hope they'll take that recipe and play with it and have fun with it
Right.
and add more stuff, take some out, do what you need to do, but groove with that idea of, and for me, it's just, do I have a cruciferous? Do I have a grain? Do I have a bean? I'm just checking off the groups. And I don't worry about measuring. I don't worry about amounts. I've learned how to measure with the seminars. I actually got my measuring cups out, never done that before. And so now I'm learning. I'm learning how to measure ingredients and things like that. So I'm still in a learning process, and I hope we all are. But batch cooking has made everything easier because, as you said, it's right there. It's right there. And I agree with you. I also do not have a microwave. Got rid of my microwave before I even went vegan, which was 5 years before I went plant-based. I don't want that molecular change in my food. I want my food to stay as it was meant to be. And I want to keep the molecules structured as they were meant to be structured. So, and I believe a microwave damages those molecular structures. So,
Well, add the
yes.
microwave to it, that it's going through your house. It's going through you.
Yeah, there it is. If you're going to be using a microwave, that's fine, because of convenience. I get it. Just make sure you're chelating and getting all of those toxins out regularly. And Whole Foods chelating, cilantro, parsley, celery, obviously you want to be chelating all the time because these heavy metals are not just from the microwave and from waves and X-rays and things like that. They're in the air. They're in the water, they're in the soil. Our earth, we've just damaged it beyond belief. And so even like the lemon tree in my backyard, we harvested lemons last week. I washed those, not because I put anything on them. I have great soil. I compost everything myself, and I have a quick kitchen composter and an outdoor composter. But the air, the water, it's polluted. It's got bad stuff in it. So I even grew my own lemons organically, nothing on there, and I cleaned them well because I was making lemon zest. So I'm peeling the skins off and dehydrating them and then grinding them. That's a raw food. So if there are pesticides or not pesticides, but pollutants on that from the air or from the soil or water, I don't want that in my body raw. So clean everything is my motto, even if it's organic, even if it's organic or even grown in my backyard, I still clean it.
My next tip is community support. And I think this
Oh,
is one of the reasons why I such a firm believer, first of all, of like the NHA and going to their conference and connecting there. I mean, their conference sells out like, I don't know, like 6 months before the date of the
right.
conference. I mean, it really sells out. And they're doing travel and stuff like that now. It's like incredible. But having that community and having that and being around, I mean, like I started here on Cape Cod, a local community support network here. We have potlucks once a month. We do movies. We invite guest speakers. We did a road trip. We went to Plant City in Providence, which is the first plant-based market hall in the country. I mean, just stuff like that, or we'll find a restaurant who will cook whole food plant-based, SOS, and they'll make a meal and cook it for us. And it's like, oh yeah, there is some money in this. Yeah, there are people that want this. So we have a huge restaurant campaign that we're working on here. So it's just we have a community. But like I said, I'll invite a couple, a couple couples over. We'll do game night and potluck and we eat. Like, we'll play one game and then we'll have a course and then we'll play another game and then we'll have a course and then we'll have another game and we'll do another course. And it's so much fun. I don't have to sit there and defend myself. Like I went to the hairdressers the other day and to keep the poof, I have the poof short, once it starts getting out to a certain point, it just does what it wants. So I got to go and get my hair cut quite a bit. So I'm there at least once a month. Yeah, okay. Well, yours is a little easier. Mine is like this is like it takes somebody like she has to sharpen her scissors after she cuts my hair. It's so thick and so it's not nice texture. It's like straw. Anyway, there's this woman there who, she's heard me talking and stuff like that. And I feel like every time I go into the hairdressers, I have to defend myself against my food. And because she's constantly like, well, so do you eat this? Do you eat that? How can you not live with this? And how can you not? And I'm constantly like, oh my God, I just came for a haircut, you know?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like defending myself here. And I feel like I'm constantly being grilled, like, well, that's just your opinion. I'm like, no, go to PubMed. You'll follow this. I follow the science. If you know anything about me for about 10 minutes, you'll know I follow science. And I'm a former chemistry teacher, environmental science, biology. I'm a science person. I follow it. I promise you. I don't do anything unless I know there's a reason and I can push and show you, results and publish whatever. Anyway, but I feel like I'm defending myself all the time. When I'm with other people that get it, it's
Mm.
the best. It's the best. Having them over for dinner, like, oh my God, what'd you bring? I can't wait, because we all know the rules. And so we don't have to discuss them. I don't have to discuss where am I going to get my protein from? Because, like, like, do I look like I've curled up in the corner and I'm about ready to die of, kwashiorkor? I don't think so. Okay. I mean, so having that community is huge. So I started a local one here and it started with a few people. And now it keeps growing because I go and I lecture out at the local public libraries for free. I just go out there to let people know that there's another way. Because I think that's one of the things that people really realize, it's like when they finally hear it, it's like, why am I just hearing this? Why didn't I know about this before? Why hasn't my doctor talked to me about this? I mean, that's gotta be grounds for malpractice, I think, down the road, but that's another story. But I mean, just setting up this community and having this locally, we have it locally here. But my dream, I'm an educator and I'm a teacher. That's my passion is I'm an educator. And so I'm doing this now and I've created my own school. I have. And that's what I've done is I've created this place where we can connect away from Facebook. This is a nice platform that I've created. And so I'm creating this community that we can interact. There's no advertising. There's no trolls in there, those creepy people and whatever. I mean, it's just people that want to be on this journey. And so I'm creating this virtual place where we can support and connect with one another, depending upon what level you want to be at. But I've created a platform that's free. I mean, I'm paying for this, but I'm opening it up to whoever because I want to create a place where people can connect. So having that community locally, and finding those places, whether you can connect at a church, connect through your church and open that up. You can do a dinner and a movie at a church. I'm doing the at the libraries. I do presentations about living plant-based and the benefits of it. We show movies at the library because it's wonderful because they do all their own advertising for you and get that out to their group of people that connect in the library. So I try and go around to all different libraries in my on Cape Cod and interact and let people know that there's another way, that there is a life here, and then to connect. And I find that your friends start to change. It's not that I don't connect with my other friends from my previous before plant-based life, but it's a whole different vibe with them now. And it is with my plant-based peeps. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love going to the NHA conference, because it's like a family reunion to be with the family you want to be with. Because there's some of those members of your family that's like, oh my God, Uncle Harold here again. You know, whatever. And so these are the people you want to be around with. And it's just so exciting to be around people. And plus the food. Oh my God. They
Yeah.
outdo themselves. They really do. And then all the recipes are available. It's like, oh, I like that. That was delicious. I have to make that one again. That's a make again recipe, And so, and then of course the cutting edge, presentations are by Sunday night, my head is like, I can't fit anything else in. I just like you're just
Right.
so overwhelmed by Sunday night. You're just like, I gotta go home. My head hurts. You know? Anyway,
I
what
I
else
went
you
to
got?
the I went to the NHA conference for the first time last year, just, and just, me, like not as like 60 or anything like that. I wasn't trying to do anything. I just wanted to find that community that you're talking about, because we have that community, and I'm really, really lucky that everyone 60 is so caring and so loving and encouraging and supportive. And we're really, really well connected to one another. But I wanted to know what that felt like in real life because I don't. I've never had that. So I went to the conference and it was amazing. And you're right, it was quite overwhelming. I felt just really filled with joy and support, I guess, but not so much support, but acceptance.
Mhm.
That idea that again, it was I can just be here and I don't have to do or say anything. I know the food is safe and it is delicious. And you're right, by Sunday night, there's so much that we learned last year, and it was just a wonderful experience for me. One which I hope to repeat someday, but coming from Greece, we'll see when I can make that happen. But it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I think Wanda and Mark did a fabulous job of that conference. Again, it was my first and only, so that's just the one I'm referring to, but I'm sure they do it every year. And I'm looking forward to, you mentioned that, the NHA does traveling. Yeah, I'm going with the NHA for my first plant-based cruise to Iceland in August, and I'm really excited about that. And then in March, the NHA and 6D are teaming up for a plant-based cruise to Italy and Croatia in March 2025. So I get to host that one with, of course, Wanda's help. And I look forward to learning from her and from Lisa McCarl, who organizes these things as well, in what that entails when I go to Iceland. And so it's a really amazing, the NHA, about bringing us together with community. And
Mhm.
community really speaks to me because in my mind, that's what 60 is all about. It's about community, connecting, reaching out to everyone and anyone. So we have members in our community who are not plant-based, who are still playing around with stuff. But you know what? They still show up at the book clubs, they still read the books, and they still have great questions, and they're making small changes and huge differences in their life. Small changes, huge differences. That's what's happening. And, they're getting there. And we don't rush them. None of us rush them because we got to meet people where they are in the moment. And that's what we do at 60. And then we say, where do you want to go? And how can we get there together? Because some people are just plant curious, and that's good enough. That's a step,
Right.
and that's where we be. That's where the door opens. So yeah, community is crucial because for years I was just sitting here by myself making the food, going, well, I feel better, but got no one around.
Right.
So yeah, but you're right. I haven't lost touch with friends from pre-plant-based world, pre-plant-based transition for me, and getting together is a little more tricky. Let's say it's a little trickier. Try to find activities. Let's go for a walk. Let's go hiking. Let's go for a bike ride. Let's go for a swim in the sea. We live right next to the Mediterranean here, so it's yeah, for me. So I like to do that instead of let's go for lunch, let's go for dinner, let's go for drinks and all of that. So I just kind of like don't do that, or let's go see a show, or let's go see a comedian together. And so my way of socializing has changed in that it's not food centered. And that has actually made a difference in the profundity of those friendships because we found more things in common than differences. And I think that's really beautiful as well. So yeah, that's how I'm managing to survive over here is my 6D community that I love and cherish with all my heart. And now your platform and I'm exploring that. It's amazing what you've built. And I look forward to connecting more with people there as well.
One thing I wanted to share with you, for those of you who don't know, I am now the historian for the National Health Association. I've been
Yes, indeed
with
you are.
them. So
Congratulations. That's
I know.
fantastic.
So I just want to show you what I've been working on since December. And this I am just so pleased with. And we're going to be doing some more things. I've got so many ideas on the National Health Association under About. and the natural hygiene history. So once you click that, that's going to take you here. And I put together a whole timeline starting in like 1822. And I've actually been finding more stuff going back into the 1700s. So, but this is the pioneers of the 1800s. These guys are incredible. And I'm looking to do a show very much like Frank Sabatino's doing with interviewing people. But I want to bring these guys' stories to life. And like, for example, Isaac Jennings, this guy, unbelievable. This guy realized, graduated from Yale, okay, got a great medical degree, but he got home, he started his practice in Derby, Connecticut, and realized very quickly that the medicines he was using or the drugs he was using were causing more harm than good. And so he created his own tincture of vegetable dye. So he did that, and then he made bread pills. So he's creating placebos. So when he went to his patients, because his patients still wanted drugs, okay, because that's a mentality that we've been raised with. So he gave them this tincture and said, okay, now I want you to put 1 teaspoon in a glass of water every hour, no more. This is very powerful medicine. And so he basically was getting them to hydrate. He was teaching them to fast, okay? And then he was teaching them about food, and because he was going around in his buggy going to the homes and stuff like that and seeing what the homes was like. When you see what the life was like in the 1800s, it's disgusting. Oh my God. So there's like Reverend Graham, who went on in 1832 a crusade for health and physiological reform. There was William Alcott. I mean, these guys founded the American Vegetarian Society in 1850. So, I mean, and things like that. So, right, well, Reverend William Metcalf came over from England, and he lived in Philadelphia, and there was the height of this cholera epidemic in 1832, very much like we were dealing with COVID. I mean, this was deadly. And it started in Philadelphia and radiated out so quickly. It's insane how quickly it went. And the Bible group that he brought over was all vegetarian, and not one of them died of cholera. Very much like today with COVID and plant-based living. And their stories are amazing. This guy, I feel like a chronic underachiever next to this man who, Russell Thackeray, unbelievable, his publications. And if you click on like his publications, I just got to show you this because this is incredible. You can go and read his books. They're there. They're on this, what's called the Internet Archive. His first cookbooks were vegetarian, but along the way, he became vegan. So he had used no animal products in his cooking. So by the time his last cookbooks came into being, I mean, he wrote over 40 books. This is at a time when people were writing with a quill, with a quill. Unbelievable. So you can click, I mean, every one of these is his book. I mean, and I wrote a little synopsis about this. Here's Apple Jonathan. That's a recipe from back in that day. Recipes back then are very different than recipes today. They called them actually receipts. But this new hydropathic cookbook, that is all vegan. That is all vegan. So I try to include, here's a little recipe from that cookbook, apple dumplings. So things like that. But you can go and all of this is there for you. I mean, I feel like this chronic underachiever when you look at all of this, and you can click on and go to their biography. And I've done an extensive deep dive into their biography, and you can learn about these people and what they did. And it's absolutely amazing. So I've got a lot of things cooking. Like, for example, Sylvester Graham was known as Mr. Graham Cracker, not the current graham cracker today, because that has completely gone away from, what he had as a graham cracker and graham bread and all this other stuff. So I'm envisioning in the Health Science magazine a feature on graham and graham cracker, and to create, because I've not been able to find the original recipe anyplace yet, but close. I can find some close things. So to create a graham
That's really
cracker,
incredible, Jane.
yeah.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. And thank you for doing such amazing work for us all to learn. I had no idea it could go back that far. And then at the same time, it almost seems logical because this is how we are born to eat.
Exactly.
So it's just one step. You just have to take that step. Some would say it's taking a step forward, but really you got to step back and remember what we were born to eat, how we've evolved into this form and what this form needs. And it doesn't have the ability to process dairy. We just don't have it. So it's just fantastic. I'm gonna go check that out, like, well, after the Saturday seminar, but for sure soon.
Anyway, it's there when you have some time if you want to dive into history. And it was interesting because Ellen G. White, who was the founder of the Seventh-day Adventists, this was an interesting piece. She had gone to James Jackson's clinic in upstate New York because she got ill, and she went and healed at his place and learned all the foundations of lifestyle medicine basically at his clinic because they promoted, fresh air and loose clothing. Oh my God, the corsets. Oh my God, I thought a girdle was bad. My God, that puts a girdle like, yeah, nothing. Anyway, loose clothing, good clothing for there, good food, fresh air, sunshine, all the basic pillars he was promoting. And Ellen G. White then took that information and created the Seventh-day Adventist. So there's that connection there. So, and it's interesting because I just met the pastor at the Seventh-day Adventist church here on Cape Cod, and because they do these vegetarian, vegan dinners quarterly, which is amazing. And he came up and I was telling him about Ellen G. White, and he goes, "Yeah, he went to Dr. Jackson's." And I said, "Yeah, James Jackson." He goes, "Oh, I didn't know his name." And we started bantering back and forth, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you know this? Like, really?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a history buff." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I got to call him again and talk because Ellen's got to be on here as well." I mean, she's, has promoted so much in terms of plant-based living. You know, it's crazy. So, Sia, thank you so much for taking this
Thank
time,
you.
and everybody else who's joined us and everybody else who's going to see this in the future. Thank you for coming today because honestly, we love, I know C and I just are so excited to share what we do and this lifestyle. So thank you so much for joining us today.